Hi, Papa.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have you on my show.
So good to be here.
Yes, sir. This is my humble beginning.
It's all right. Great things always start
Thank you so
small.
much, Papa. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I just want to say to everyone watching that this is my pastor, but let him do the honors of introducing himself. So, Papa, could you please introduce yourself to the guest of Ginger with Synesis?
All right. I'm Harrison Ayintete, and I'm a pastor. I guess that suffices.
My pastor is a ministry person, of course, and is into full-time ministry, but pastor has other expressions. He's a great writer, he's a great storyteller, a great teacher, and it's it's like a dream come true for me. I remember when I sent you the message that, Papa, I'd like you to be on my show, and you said, I'm in. It was like, hey, God, you're on my show, and it just made my day that day, and now this is happening. Thank you so much for coming, sir. So, the first thing I'm going to say is, as far as I'm concerned, I think you are the most controversial youth pastor in Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned. And, and I know it. Yes, sir. I know it's not something that we come by every day. Especially the social media age, a lot of people have different opinions about different things. Even when you are speaking your truth, people come for you without even knowing where you're coming from. So I want to ask you, how do you manage social media defamation? How have you been able to navigate it over time? This year alone, I can recall that about 10 major dailies in Nigeria and even prominent blogs had so many things to say about you, and it was spreading like wildfire. People just had so many things to say about you. I know someone called me at some point and said, your pastor, I saw him on Insta blog, and I was like, you don't even know what happened, right? How have you been able to overcome this social media validation and handle defamation over time, Papa?
All right. So I think basically, it is expected that a pastor is able to navigate through defamation and through the complexities of character in terms of what people see out there. Presentation, misrepresentation, as the case might be. So it's part of the training. Biblically, Apostle Paul said, we are ministers in good reports and in evil reports. Okay? So Jesus was plagued with defamation. His life was plagued with controversies. Everyone had their own definition of his personality. Some will say that he is the Son of God. Some will say that he was a devil. Some will say that he was a wine bibber. Some will say that he walked with demons. And so you could think about the fact that Jesus, God came in the flesh, and he was greatly misunderstood. He was greatly misjudged, misread. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
The idea of his death was upon the precipice that his personality was greatly misunderstood in his generation. And so I think every pastor should be accustomed to that. It comes with the work.
With the package.
Because while it is not expected that the pastor should be in the news for the wrong reasons anyways, it is not expected. So it is okay if people defame us. All right, it is okay if people slander us, but it is a slander because it is not true.
Right.
You see that? So it is not good if we are now doing ungodly things. All right. Of course, there's forgiveness in God, there's redemption and all that. But the truth of the matter is that we are expected to always do the right things because we are people who serve God. You understand? But when people misunderstand us, when we do the right things, I hope you can demarcate now. So it's not like we take pleasure, or it's not like we want to do the wrong things or we endorse the wrong things. We shouldn't endorse the wrong things. We shouldn't promote the wrong things. We shouldn't be found doing the wrong things because we are a people of God. But when we do the right things and the world misunderstands us, because the Bible said they didn't know me, therefore they don't know my disciples. Okay, Jesus said to the disciples, he said, they are going to persecute you because they persecute me. He said, if they called me a devil, what are they going to call you? Okay, and Jesus only did good. So it is okay for us to be defamed for what is good, but it is not okay for us to do the wrong things. Okay, so I think that's the aspect. Yeah.
Yes, sir. That answers it, because yes, the news. I think recently I was having a conversation with someone about newsworthiness. These blogs and, let's say, dailies, they know the exact things that sell, so they can actually craft a story and make it sound true even when it's untrue. But what matters is, personally, as a person in handling defamation, it's better you were not a party to whatever wrong thing they said you did. That way it's easier for you to fight that battle. So it makes a lot of sense now. Thank you so much, sir, for clarity. Now, this question I'm about to ask, I know that I've heard you say it, that because this episode is because you are a pastor and you have been in ministry for a long time, I want people who are upcoming pastors or young pastors to watch this and feel seen, feel heard. So this question, I've heard you say a number of times that during your ordination, people did not show up, and that right from then it had built you up to become this tough person. I don't know if you could take us back or down memory lane, how you felt as someone who, it was the beginning of a journey, it was the beginning of a new thing to you. Like, you knew this was a new part of me that was about to be unleashed, and ordination is a big deal and no one shows up. Did you think of giving up on becoming a pastor, or you just felt like, nah, I'm just gonna do it, and you just kept moving? Were you demotivated? Did you face a challenge that let you say, oh, I think I'm giving up on being a pastor, and you just kept moving? How did you handle that, sir?
Yeah, I was greatly demoralized. I was greatly discouraged, okay, that very day. But I mean, ministry is a supernatural work. And so that day, I think one of the major things that happened was that my assistant pastor, so God had directed me to choose a fellow then to assist me. And so that fellow asked a question, and I won't forget. And the question was that he said, are we going to let go of all the assurance that we already had because people didn't show up? That was the question he asked me. All right. He said, are we going to let go of all the preparation and all the, affirmations that we have? You get what I'm talking about? We were sure. Okay. Yeah. Are we going to let go of all of that? The convictions. All right. Because people didn't show up. And he said, that shouldn't matter. And I felt encouraged in that moment. And we just kept going. So it wasn't like I wasn't demoralized, because it was really huge, because that basically was a sign of rejection. It was a statement of rejection. It was a statement of, we don't want you. We don't give a damn about you. We don't think of you in any way. And ministry is a work of association. It's a work it's a work of association. It's a work that derives a lot of its credibility from acceptance among one's peers, among those who have gone ahead in ministry, and among one's members, that is the flock. So it is a three-way acceptance. In that way, you can see those who are above you, those who are your contemporaries, and those you're ministering to. And so when you don't have the acceptance in any of the levels, it can be troubling. Okay, it can be unnerving. So, but if you are sure that God really called you, if you have gotten enough conviction, and you've been through a process, do you understand? Because I went through a process. I served under my pastor and all of that, and I was convinced that it was time. You understand? And so, yeah, you can navigate it. You can navigate it. Yeah, you can.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, I personally don't know how I would have felt, because it's just, let's not even say ordination, it's just similar to maybe me having a graduation ceremony and I announce to people, my loved ones, that hey, I'm having something and nobody shows up. Like, it just shows that, see, do your thing, we don't care about you. And that alone could be so dysfunctional and demoralizing and even traumatizing. And when I heard you say it the very first time, I was like, whoosh. Thank you so much for sharing. I like the fact that you said it was demoralizing, because some other people would suck it up and act like, I was just supernaturally good, I didn't care about it. And it also shows the importance about people.
In fact, let me tell you that I feel like that particular experience, okay, it took time for me to get out of it. Because I think what then happened, I think what happened to me was that I developed some sort of an emotional case, okay, where, you know, yes, it is good when we say that we don't give a damn about people.
Yes,
but we can also get to a point, but we can get to a point where we now become repelling to people, where we intentionally do things that may annoy them or that may put them off, because we don't care about them either ways. You understand? Like, we now become we become cold, we repel people, okay? Not like we don't associate with people, you get what I'm trying to say? But we have that repelling character that is like is an emotional dysfunction, okay? Where we can, and I think many of my Protestant characters in the earlier days of my ministry came from the fact that I'm not accepted, so I don't care if I'm rejected.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so even though there's a benefit to that, but it can be a dysfunction, because when you then begin to act that way, you don't care for anyone's advice, you don't care for their oversight, you don't care for anything, because you don't crave to be accepted at all. And the default state of humanity is acceptance.
Right.
Okay? Rejection is not our default state. Okay? So while we are supposed to navigate through rejection, okay, we are not supposed to accept rejection as our norm. It's not our default state. I think I developed a dissociative disorder in some way, okay, where I'm just dissociating. Do you understand? I'm not associating at the beginning. You understand? Where I didn't just say this sense in, I had people that I rode with. Listen, when people have emotional problems or they have emotional dysfunctions, it is not that they are not functioning. It is that they are functioning in dysfunction.
Okay. Yes, sir. So, okay, when wrong becomes the norm.
You get it. So it is not like they are not gifted. It's not like their giftings will not shine through. In fact, let me say this, that the more their giftings shine through, the more they endorse their dissociation, the more they endorse their dysfunction. Do you get it? So sometimes it takes for their giftings to fail them, for them to seek association.
This is so profound. This is so profound.
So, as I grew in my life and I began to fail at certain things, okay, and I began to have certain kind of problems, it humbled me now to seek to associate. Do you get it? Do you get it? So, and I see that in many other young people. I can tell you for a fact that dysfunction, bitterness, offense can sponsor many characters in ministry. Many. Many. And you can see that in many pastors. Okay? They might hide it under apologetics. They might hide it under a defense for the truth. But behind it all is a disdain for other people. Behind it all is a pain that they are masking. Do you get it?
Right.
And so it can be hermeneutically delivered. Okay? It can be exegetically delivered. But you can still see the pain in the interaction. This is how you know. You just know by listening to that person and you're beginning to have an offensive wording. Do you get it?
This is good. This is good. This is good. The part where there was a punchline at some point. Okay, two. The first was you were not accepted at first, and so it made you develop a sense of you didn't even care if you were rejected. And in mental health, there's something called attachment styles. And that is called the avoidance dismissive attachment style, where maybe your caregiver or people that maybe you trusted at some point, they neglected you. So it makes you form this shell or carve to yourself. And at this point now, it's even hard for people to love you. So people are trying their best. You want to be loved, you crave to be loved, but people just find it hard to love you. And due to them finding it hard to love you, they just break off. So you don't see, I'm trying to, and most times people like this find it hard to get into emotional relationships because the people that come to them to try to show them care, to them, the first thing that comes to their head is, this person is still going to leave. This person is still going to leave. And unconsciously, they're acting that out. And the person too is saying like, I'm doing all my best. Why are you not accepting? Why do you still think I'll leave? I'm showing everything. And I like that this is coming from a pastor because a lot of times, I think the world we are, people spiritualize things a lot. Oh no, pastors cannot be hurt. And no, as a person, it's persecution. This. But it's coming from you now validates the fact that even pastors have been through pain. And truly, there can be dysfunctionality in a system that works. It does not mean it will not work, but it just means that it's dysfunctional. Wow. Thank you so much, Reverend. That was so good. That was so good, sir. I want to ask a question about, I don't know if this is going to be a touchy subject, but it's about your dad. I know that you're the eldest son, and I know that, or the eldest child, and you are a son, which means naturally and according to society worldviews, when your father passed, it was expected that you would have risen, or you would have risen up to responsibilities quickly and shouldered a lot of responsibilities that were even beyond your age bracket. How did you feel through this period, knowing that you just lost a father, you just lost a figure, someone that maybe, I don't know how close you were with your dad, but I'm very sure no matter how distant you were, you would have been hurt. How did you feel in the passing of that? And how did you meet up to shouldering expectations or shouldering responsibilities? Were there times you gave up like, I'm not doing Big Brother again? Or were you just naturally adept at shouldering like, oh no, we got it, and you just kept moving? What did grief do to you?
Well, my dad's death, I don't think it was the death that was the most painful part. Okay, I think it was the sickness before he died. So
okay.
Yeah, so he was sick for years.
So
it wasn't sudden. It wasn't sudden.
Okay.
And I think that there's something that watching somebody who is sick for a period of time, I think there's something that it does to your soul, psychologically. And
wow.
Yeah, and I think, just watching that entire process, it's just I think for me, it is more like I felt like, he could have had a better life, like he deserved a better life. But when I look at his life, he wasn't somebody who was given a lot of opportunities, and his background and all of that. And so I think my mom was the biggest opportunity in my dad's life. Okay, so I think being married to my mom was about the life-saving thing he did for himself. You get what I'm trying to say? And for me, the grief of my dad's passing didn't begin with his passing. It began with his life. So it began with a life of me being in that place where I can see somebody who didn't have a lot of opportunities. Okay? And it somewhat made me agitated to creating opportunities for myself. There's that kind of thing where I am fighting in a type of way to ensure that my life is not exactly boxed in like that. Because he was a strong man, but he didn't have many choices. And so in him, I saw intellectual sagacity, I saw resilience, I saw fatherhood, but I also saw that he was boxed in. You understand that? And so life is just like that. And I discovered that in life, it's not just even about how great you are or whatever. It is, if you are boxed in, you are boxed in. There's just a limit to what you can do. So for me, it is me trying to fight to ensure that we don't have a repeat of his own scarce resources at the choices of life. I don't know if you got that. Like the day he died, my cousin spoke to me from the US. It was like, your dad is dead. And I'm like, yeah. And it was like, your dad died of this particular sickness. And I said, yeah. He said, my mom has the sickness in the US and nobody even knows that she has it. And it's not a big deal.
Jeez.
You get it? So it wasn't the sickness. It was the lack of the opportunity that could have availed him a better life. You get it? And so what?
So painful.
You said what?
Yeah, I said that must have been so painful, knowing that it could be remedial. There was a remedy, but it wasn't just something you had access to.
Yeah. Yeah. In a better world, it would still be alive. That's for sure. All right. With better choices, it will still be alive. So I think unconsciously, there's a race in my life that triggers me in some way, that causes me trauma, especially when I see that I am boxed in psychologically. It unnerves me. All right. So I begin to feel headaches. The moment I begin to feel like my choices are limited, and it appears like what I want to become in my life, I'm not able to become. All right. So because for me, I know that if you have many choices, you can get over it. You can do well with it. So when he died, I'm not going to pretend that I was the big brother for my family. Rather, my mother was the father for all of us. Okay. Wow. So the parts where I took that helped the family was that as a pastor, my character shone through. Do you get it? My character shone through. My devotion to work. Okay. My tenacity. Okay. At getting things done. Do you understand? My focus. My resilience. Okay. My passion. and the fact that my family, my younger ones, would then see that somebody can actually aim at things and achieve them.
Wow.
Do you get it now? So that was the part in the family that I filled in for, that then caused us to, enter into a new trajectory in life. But when you talk about finance, you talk about taking care of my siblings, my mother was all that. Okay?
Wow.
Talk about the funeral, talk about all of that. My mother was all that. And she's all that as we all grow. So I'm not going to say that it has never been a family where I'm under pressure to say you got to send money to this person, you got to do that. It's never been that kind of family. Even though I'm responsible enough to say that, you know what, you want to do this, I'm giving this, I'm giving that. You get what I'm saying? But it's not been that pressure kind of a family. Even my own wedding, my mom did most of it, most of the spending for my wedding. Okay? When I got married, we moved into my mom's house. We had 2 flats. We lived in the second flat. So I think basically my mom became our dad, but I became the strong pillar for the future. All right, for my siblings in terms of character now. So sometimes you don't have money, but if you have character, you can feel it.
Right. Wow. So more like you became a trailblazer to show them that I might not have the finances at this point, but I can show you that it is possible to break out of limitation. I can show you that it is possible to expand. I can show you that from wherever you are, you can do this. And it's even obvious. It's very obvious, sir, that even till now, you're this person that doesn't settle for less. I see how you grind. I see how you always want the good things of life. And it's really good. It's really good. Wow, thank you so much. And thanks to mommy. I wish she was here now to receive her accolades. But maybe when this episode is out, maybe she's going to watch it to receive her accolades. Thank you, mommy. Thank you for raising pastor and everything. Thank you so much, ma. Okay, sir. Now I want to ask this question. It's going to be a direct question. The society we live in, there is a sentiment. To me, it's a sentiment, but I also want to hear your perspective, being a man and being someone who has gone through, at least so far, we have talked about you being alone at your ordination, you have been on headlines for defamation, you lost your dad, you have been through life episodes, and it has been a lot. But there's a saying in the society that men don't cry, or weak men cry, strong men don't cry. As a man, you have to own your emotions, just suck it up, don't let people see how you feel, just be the man. You don't have to show your wife, showing your wife or showing your siblings or anybody around you means you're a weak man. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of truth in it, and I will explain. You see, in life, there is reality and there are expectations. Okay, and with time, expectations become a part of reality. Now, it is expected that a man is a strong figure. All right, it's expected that a man is a strong figure, a pillar of support, a trailblazer, somebody who can, navigate people into the future and who can stabilize people in a chaotic atmosphere. Do you get what I'm saying? And you cannot expect that fellow to be weak. You cannot expect that fellow to always express the outbursts of his internal emotions here and there. So, for example, even you will feel some type of way if you see me crying too many times. It's going to affect you. Okay? It's going to affect you. So, that's the way it is. So, as a man, you don't have the luxury to just have that outburst because there is an expectation. You might say that, well, it is toxic, it is this, it is that. But life is all about expectations. You cannot divorce life and expectations. Do you get what I'm talking about? The earlier you grow up to understand that, the better. But this is how it is. I think the problem really is that they say, so when they say that a man shouldn't cry, I think what people hear is that a man shouldn't cry at all. So I think there's a difference between venting your emotions when you need them, and venting them in the wrong place. Okay, so there are times when you don't need to show weakness. Do you get what I'm talking about? You don't need to show it, because the people that you're relating with don't want to see weakness,
or they can't handle it.
They cannot handle it, because when you become weak, they begin to think that life is coming to an end. Like, if that person that we are looking up to, all right, can fall like a pack of cards, then what is there?
Right.
So really, what should be the discussion is, where should men vent? When should men cry? Where? Okay. So the truth of the matter is that even as a man, you can't always cry to your wife. Okay, you can't, because the truth of the matter is that human relationship is tricky. And the truth of the matter is that the more somebody shows you their weaknesses, the less of them you think. It's just life. Okay, the more you show your weakness to somebody, and the less they begin to see you as somebody of power and somebody of authority. They can begin to look down on you. Okay, and either you like it or not, you have to protect your personality that enables you to command authority when it matters. So the real thing is, you got to cry. And I believe in crying. I believe in mourning. Okay, in the Bible, there were days of mourning, 40 days. Okay, people will not do anything. For 40 days, they will just be mourning a particular person. Do you understand? And it is important for the soul to lay fallow for some time, to adjust to loss. Okay, so I cry, and that's the truth. But I'm not going to be on the camera every day crying. I'm not going to be crying to my wife every day. Do you get it? So we have to be able to have a place where we can express our inner emotions and just let it out. But then when we come out, we have to be strong, because in the grand scheme of things, people don't care if you cry, and you don't want people to think of you as a weak person, because if they see you as a weak person, they will take advantage of your weakness.
Right.
So it's a dog eats dog out there. It's a survivor of the fittest out there. So while there can be an extreme that the man shouldn't cry at all, but I believe that you can cry in the right place. Let out your soul, mourn. I think there is a technicality to mourning. Okay, I allow myself to mourn. I allow myself to mourn losses, because with loss comes death at every point. There's a death of hope. Okay, there's a death of love. There's a death of association. There's a death of fraternity. Okay, there's a death of investment. There's a death of everything in that sequence. So you got to allow yourself to mourn, to let it go, because if you don't mourn secretly, you have an outburst publicly.
Yes, sir. So good, so good. Wow, it's so profound that to every morning comes a death, and that's true. That's true. That's true. Wow. I mean, these are deep nuggets. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing. Wow, thank you for sharing. Okay, Papa. I know I've talked a bit about some bad stuff. I want to talk about something good and sweet now. I think anybody that follows you can see how you love your wife, how you do birthday countdown even when it's not the day yet, and you just say, my baby, my sweetheart. And I'm always like, love is sweet, God. I remember Mama's last birthday, when it was a day to the birthday, and you posted the pictures and you said, I should wait till tomorrow, but I can't just hold these pictures to myself any longer. And I tagged my husband on that post. See what Papa is doing on my next birthday. If you don't do this, it's over. said, if I don't post it a day too, don't give me food in this house. I said, I will not give you food. But that's sweet to watch. I mean, in a world that is so dysfunctional, in a world that it has been projected many times that, oh, they are not marriages that are sweet, oh, they are not good marriages, oh, every marriage that seems thriving is a facade. You have shown that yes, it's actually possible to have a good marriage, and you have shown that a good marriage is basically the coming together of two good people, and you have shown us that it works. So I would like to say that thank you for being an inspiration in when it comes to marriage. Thank you for showing us that true marriages exist. I mean, the times I just go to your page and I just see how you post mama, and I'm like, hey God, who will post me like this? Thank you so much, sir. But then I want to ask a question, and it's a bit dicey, but I want to hear your perspective, sir. So there's this thing about, for example, when you talked about when you were demoralized, when you had gone through grief and you had to mourn, and you had to mourn in quiet, mourn in private, and people say, oh yes, you have to do it alone because you don't want to burden anybody with your emotions and all of that. But another set of people would say, oh, when you have somebody that you can pour on, or someone that can be there for you, it can help you heal faster. Would you say having a partner or being married to a good person, in quotes now, can help one be more emotionally stable, especially in a chaotic world like this?
Yes, totally. I believe that a good partner is one of the major stability that one needs in a chaotic world. And I think that there are different levels of grief. Okay. And I think that's important. There are griefs that we can undo by ourselves and deal with by ourselves. But there are griefs where we need other people, all right, that we trust and we believe in to help us through. I think we have to be sincere with ourselves, all right? Based on the level of trauma we're going through. Do you get what I'm talking about?
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we all need somebody who loves us, who believes in us and all of that. But where it gets tricky, okay, is where we cannot do without those people. Do you get it? That's where it gets tricky, because life is tricky. And we're not hoping for the worst, okay? But confidence become enemies. There is such reality in the world where friends and lovers become arch enemies, actually. So in that world, you must be able to manage yourself and be able to find some sort of a grip for yourself and get a grip, okay? And be able to weather through life. Either it goes this way or that way. And as we pastors will say, put your trust in God, because He's the only one who will not fail. All right, but just based on human relationship, yeah, I do strongly believe that a good partner will help a lot of times to stabilize emotionally.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. I think to everyone watching now, it's obvious that if you want to marry right, so that you can be talking like Reverend like this, and you can be emotionally stable. Thank you so much, sir. And I like the part where you gave the balance that yes, a good partner can help you be stable, but at the same time, it's a problem when you become too dependent on them and too attached, that they now become, I don't want to say indispensable, because you shouldn't dispense your partner or dispose your partner, but they now become that, oh, without this person I cannot heal, without this person I cannot write. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Papa, I know you have a beautiful daughter, and honestly, personally, I don't have a kid yet. I don't have kids. But sometimes I'm just scrolling through social media and I see how devastating and how sad the world is. And I also see how bad or rotten the world has gotten. And it gives me concern now, like, I can't even imagine, like, okay, if I have a kid now, do I want to ban them from using social media, or do I want to tell them, oh, no screen time at all? Your child becomes an alien. Or when they're going to school, do you ask them every single day, tell me about your experience so that I can teach? I mean, I think about these things, and I remember one time discussing with my husband, and my husband said, okay, they are extremes because this is how some of our parents became very, what's the word now? How do I say it? They became, yes, sir. They became overbearing because they are scared that, oh, if she goes out too much, she's going to become spoiled. If she does this, we see it as this parent is doing too much, but they also have their reasons. And now I'm getting to that point where I'm also seeing bad stuff. And I'm like, the other day in the US, I saw a kid that was asking me what's my gender, and I'm like, isn't it obvious? What's my gender? And the kid said, oh, you could choose to be what you want to be. And I'm like, you this kid should not be more than 8. Like, you should. And I was telling my husband, like, the world is so sad and rotten now. And I see people who are fathers and mothers, and I always look like, okay, we need to learn one or two things from people like this. How have you been able to navigate this? Do you have a particular time for screen time for your daughter? Because I know that this is a digital world. You cannot say, oh, don't ever be in touch with phones or with tablets or laptops or whatever. And do you censor whatever she has access to? Because I know she's not an adult yet. Do you censor what she watches? Do you ask her daily about her experiences as oh, did you meet somebody? Did anybody beat you? Do you do all of that? Or how do you manage not being overbearing and also being there for the child? Because there's this set of people that tell you, oh, I wish I had parents that really asked me how I was doing and really kind of boxed me too. Because some people went wild and they say, oh, I wish I had parents that boxed me too. So now there's like, oh, what's the balance between that, being a good parent? What do you have to say, sir?
Well, I think fundamentally, the kind of bond and love between parents and children is important. All right, parents have to express their love to their kids. They have to be friends with them, play with them. When I mean friends with them, I don't mean friends in such a way that we just tolerate whatever they do. But they have to be comfortable around you. All right, they have to see you as somebody that they just love. The love is pure, and they get that affirmation, I love you, we play together, all of that. Then I also think that for me, it is impossible for my child not to be on the internet in that sense. Of course, we might just ensure that she downloads or we download the right cartoon for her or whatever entertainment that she's watching, but I'm always on my tab. I work on my tab. We all work on our phones. So it is impossible for us to say that our child won't have access to that, if you understand, because that's what we work with. And she doesn't know that we are working.
Yeah.
You understand? She doesn't know that we are working. Okay, so she just sees us with our tabs and all that. So as a parent, I don't like to overthink things, okay, because you can overthink things to a point where you are not becoming overly sensitive to everything. I remember that we also grew up around all kinds of people, right? We grew up with porn magazines in class. We grew up with all of that. We also toasted girls in primary school, all of that. So we just have to allow kids to be kids, really, and keep the love in the home. Keep your child attends a godly church. There's a children's church. They are taught the word of God. They go to a school that is godly. Okay, you know that the school has a godly character to whatever they teach. Do you get what I'm saying? She comes home, she watches on the TV educative things, all right? Things that shows her color, things that shows how to greet people, to be polite. There are many children entertainment that just shows you this is how you greet somebody, this is a snail, this is a centipede, this is whatever, a millipede or whatever.
Yes.
And she grows, and through the interaction with you, the child begins to get his or her own personality. So I think that if parents overthink it, there's going to be a problem. All right. I see many pastors always bring up conspiracy theories. They say that if you're, of course, there are cartoons that are crazy, where two boys are kissing, all of that. Yeah. But I think that some preachers also overdo it. Okay. bring up all these conspiracy theories in every cartoon. They try to bring out a triangle that is upside down and inside out.
And they say Illuminati.
Do you really think that the kids see all of that? I mean, I watch Tom and Jerry. I don't know if you watched Tom and Jerry.
Yes, I do.
All I saw was that Jerry was mischievous and Tom was stupid. And that is all. I didn't see any triangle. I didn't see Bermuda. I didn't see 66. I didn't see Antichrist. So I think parents, acting out of fear is a problem. Okay, you can't raise people right with fear. At the same time, you can't raise them right with negligence. You can't raise them right with hate. At the same time, you cannot raise them right with indulging their idiosyncrasies and their juvenile delinquencies. So there's just a wholeness that has to be involved in everything. And there's prayers, there's trust in God. All right, there's belief that the children will turn out right. Okay, because either you like it or not, you can be with the best of parents and still turn out wrong. So
Papa, I remember when I was dating my husband and we had this conversation and he made that statement and it was such a hard pill for me to swallow because I think before then I had assumed that, if you're a believer parent or believing parent, when your child is in church, and he had to remind me of the fact that I did not get born again in the church I was born. So it still does not mean that having all of those things means the child is still going to be a good child, but you still have to just still trust the process and trust God. And that was really a hard thing for me to swallow, but I think I've swallowed it now. But thank you so much for being balanced on that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Papa, how is your experience so far on Ginger with Synesis?
It's beautiful. You're a good host, and I think your interactions are beautiful.
Yes, sir. I know, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Can you hear that? My papa just affirmed it. So if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming, Reverend. It means so much to me because I know you're very busy, and it means so much to me that you decided to be on this show. I know that every person that watches this episode has gotten great and insightful nuggets. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being real. And we look forward to more great controversial posts from you. We look forward to seeing you doing great stuff like you always do. Thank you so much, Reverend.